Hello and welcome to another Friday spiritual lecture. This week we are discussing the motto, I am the treasure that I have been seeking. And so I look back and I thought that, growing up we've all heard stories about treasure hunters, treasure seekers, and they're always looking for the hidden pot of gold, the buried diamonds, the priceless gems. And the idea is that when they find it, then life is going to be full of fame and fortune and lifelong happiness. And so we tend to grow up thinking that happiness is something outside of ourselves, that treasure is something that we need to find outside of who we are. And the constant message from society is that we need to buy into materialism. That it is material goods that will help us to feel worthwhile and satisfied in life. As if the idea that us on our own simply isn't enough, that we have to have something else in order to feel really satisfied. And this is why we get into a state of sort of craving more and more goods, more and more things around us. It's a message that teaches us that we're unable to help ourselves, and that it's always outside sources that will make us happy, that the answers that we seek, that they lie with somebody else, that they lie in another situation. And we constantly seek these answers outside. We see it all the time. If you are suffering from heartbreak, have some more chocolate. If you're depressed, why don't you go shopping? Because a new coat is going to end all your problems and cheer you up. If you are, feeling sad, maybe a drug will do it. This constant message that the answer is never ever within, that the treasure is always outside of ourselves. And, certainly with some things they can help, but they're short-lived, they're unsatisfying. And also it devalues it devalues ourselves, it devalues our light, our capability. It's disempowering to always say that the answer lies outside of who we are. And the treasure, this treat to make us feel better, it's always something that we can buy. And this leads to the definition of treasure. Treasure then becomes something with a monetary value, something that links into a historical past that perhaps has a monetary value or a sentimental value. But it always seems to be something that is tangible, that can be passed on from one person to another, passed on from one generation to another. But if this is what treasure is, if treasure is something that we can own in this way, then it kind of devalues it. Because you could pass it on, you could sell your incredibly precious treasure for money. Then what are you left with? Just money that you go on spending, and the treasure has gone. So is that real treasure? The most precious treasure for me is that which we can never give away. And the true treasure is the one thing that we just don't appreciate. And that's us. It's ourselves. Within us, within every single one of us, lies all that we need, all that we truly need in life. We carry answers to the questions that we haven't even asked yet. All the love that we need is actually embodied within us. That divine connection to the universe. We don't need somebody else to give us that connection. We don't need something else. We are the universe. We are the microcosm and the macrocosm. We are everything. It is all within us. And yet we've been taught to look in the mirror and see someone who is small, unimportant, an individual with no powers, lost, alone, without love. And this is because we're taught only to look at the superficial. We're taught only to look at the shell and not to consider what is inside of us. To honour and love this body is absolutely vital, but not to the extent that we ignore the treasure, the real treasure, the gifts that are inside of us. By doing so, we dishonour our wisdom, we push it away, and end up hence seeking the answers from a guru who will give us their opinion of us. It's just another way of us seeking wisdom outside of ourselves and not listening to our own wisdom. We ignore the huge amount of love that is inherently us. And I kind of think if only we could figure out a way to really treasure who we are, then our lives would change in an instant. And I thought the way we do this is through listening. Listening to your inner self, not listening to all the voices, the truly loud voices that surround us. But it can take courage, real courage, to be able to follow our inner voice, to step out from the place where we found ourselves, to step out from who other people have decided that we are. It takes a lot to, really step into your true calling and become a pattern breaker. Every generation there are those who break the patterns, who decide that they don't wish to just follow the beliefs, the footsteps that their family have always followed. They've decided to step out and find their real treasure inside of themselves, their truth, their own light. But the more that we can listen, the more that we understand what real treasure is, the more we will blossom as an individual, the more we will create the life of which we truly, truly dream. It is all within hand. And it is tough. I really know it's tough to throw off the old attitudes and the old patterns that have kept us as a small human for so long. But once we really awaken to the treasure that lies inside of us, then we step into the power of our soul, the light of our heart. Then we embody the treasure that sits inside of us, and there's no longer a fight between our 3D self and our higher self. Suddenly we are united, and then the treasure in us is evident for everybody to see. So all you have to do is just listen. Listen to what your heart tells you. Listen to what your soul tells you. And then take a step. Take a step towards the real you. And all your treasure will come to light. So thank you very much for joining me here today. And I look forward to seeing you again when we'll dive into another topic. Light blessings. Bye-bye.